Hi, everyone. I'm here with Dr. Romano and Nancy Steen, and lawyer Bob Vasils and Lauren DePinter. And we're here to have a little informal meeting. We're all so excited. Lauren was accepted to dental school, and we just wanted to talk and discuss her journey to dental school. So Lauren, if you could, discuss how you studied and your best tips for the DAT, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so it took me a really long time actually. So I started studying with Dr. Amano back in like 2017, and I was still in the middle of undergrad, so it was kind of hard to balance everything together. And then I was trying to finish up my undergrad, and I ended up taking Dr. Amano again to study with him, and I bought the updated books. And that took me a while. I started when I was probably like 21 or 22, and it was a long road. And then I was nervous that I was struggling a lot in the math section, really, more than anything. For Dr. Amano's stuff, like the bio, the chem, the orgo, perfect, like everything you need. His YouTube videos are excellent. He like holds your hand through it. He makes it so, even if you don't have a good background or a good foundation from undergrad, or if you've been taking a gap year and you kind of like lost some of your like brain power, he helps you get back into that. And pretty much I just studied was like, okay, I need to just sit down and do this book. The book is very hard, but it prepares you for the exam. If you can do that book, you will succeed on that exam with flying colors. So that is like the biggest piece of advice I can give you, is build yourself up to a point where you can tackle that book. And once you can tackle that book, and don't just do it once, do it multiple times, and make sure you know your weak points, your strong points, where you're struggling, where you're excelling. Focus on where you're excelling too, and then also focus on where you have weak spots. And he provides so many materials for us. The reading passages every day, read those. Those will speed up your reading ability. Just everything he provides you everything. And if you just follow his study page and just do what he says, you will succeed in every way possible. And it took me some time, but once I like got myself on a regimen, I was good to go. And then I ended up doing a master's program because I was like worried, because as I was applying to get into dental school my second time, I did low in the math section my first time, and I was like, okay, like I did well in the sciences, but I need to improve my math. So I bought the DAT Destroyer, and I went through every single test in the DAT Destroyer multiple times, and I didn't time myself because I felt like I wasn't going to learn that way. So I kind of just went through it problem by problem and made sure I understood the material, why I was getting it wrong, why I was getting things right. That really helped me improve. And then I took it a second time and I did so much better. And that alone, without the master's program on my second application, didn't even put my master's on there, I started getting interviews just with an updated DAT score. That was enough to get me interviews. So if you just follow his plan and follow the Destroyer and his regimen, you will succeed no matter what. Like, it's almost guaranteed, unless you like aren't doing it right and you just kind of laze around. But if you really stick to a schedule, and if you find a good study buddy who is on the same page as you and uses the same materials as you and uses Dr. Amano's materials, you should be okay, because then you'll both be on the same page where, like, say I don't know something, that person might be able to help fill in the blanks for me. And if that person doesn't know something, I can fill in the blanks for him. Like, for example, my one friend was weak in orgo, and I was strong in orgo, and he was weak in bio. Or he was strong in bio and I was weak in bio. and he was able to help me understand a lot of biology things. And Dr. Amano's bio dynamite notes are incredible, and his bio destroyer questions, they seem intimidating because there's a lot of questions, but do them. That section brought me from my first exam. I got a 17 in bio on my first exam. That was my lowest science section. And then just from redoing the bio destroyer questions, I increased my score to like a 22 in bio. And that was the section I was most nervous about. And I remember when I got to the test, I was like, oh my God, I'm so stressed about bio. It's my hardest section. And it took me like 7 minutes to get through it because it was so easy, because the destroyer had prepared me so well for that bio section. So it was like a cakewalk. And then the Gen Chem, the Orgo, all very, very simple. If you can hit those destroyer questions and you can go through his YouTube videos, you'll be set without a question.
Lauren, and I'd like to just interject a little bit here too, that Lauren did get accepted to dental school. Yay. Not only well on the DAT, but she just started dental school, which is very exciting. And I think you're a testament to, because we were talking a little bit earlier before we started recording, is that pretty much everyone in her life, with the exception of her mom, was basically telling her to give up. But this was she didn't.
My first acceptance, well, my first application, I had just finished Dr. Amano's course, and I had like a window. They give you like a 6-month window from when you sign up to take the DAT until you can actually take your test. And my window was about to expire. And as it was expiring, I was just finishing Dr. Amano's course. So my mom was like, you need to rush through the material, you need to rush through this book, and you need to take it before that last day, because you've got to get accepted somewhere. Like, somewhere will take you, like, you just got to do it, like, you're going to be behind. And at the time I had just finished undergrad, I was like 21 or 22, and I didn't have any guidance to tell me, like, no, do it the right way. Take the time, make sure you know the material inside and out. And I kind of rushed it, and I didn't do as well as I had hoped. So, and I applied to so many schools. I applied to like over 20 schools, and I didn't even get one interview. And then
Can I interject here too?
Yeah.
I just want to say, because my story overlaps so much with yours. So I applied to dental school. My name is Vasils, by the way, everybody, and welcome to all of you that are watching this. And hopefully you can glean from it as much as you may. So I applied to dental school. This is my 3rd time applying, but the previous 2 times that I applied, my entire family, with the exceptions of my mom and my aunt, they said, don't rush. But everybody else was just, telling me to go, apply. And I applied to over 60 schools the first time I applied.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money. And I took the DAT 4 times. The 4th time I took it, I used solely Dr. Romano's material. And I hate to say it and just say it that it's a product, but it's a fairy tale product. It's like something that by Dr. Romano and Professor Steen for you to succeed. It's a key. And once I sat down and I did every problem, and I no longer listened to people who told me to rush. That is where I gained my strength and managed to do well on the DAT the 4th time I took it. And much like Lauren has said, I went through the entire Dynamite Bio Destroyer, for example, the notes. And I flew through the bio section within 7 to 8 minutes. And I managed to get 26 in bio, just in bio alone. And I love it. I don't regret that I persevered and that I didn't give up. Actually, Nancy Steen and Dr. Romano, for me, were a source of inspiration, and students that came before me.
I'd like to add one thing. I am flattered when I hear the Destroyer is so good. But for those guys listening, I personally knew all 4 of these kids. Alexandra, I knew very well, Lauren, Vasils, and Lawyer Bob. These guys are workhorses. So, I mean, it sounds all great. You know, Destroyer is this magic bullet, but these guys are workhorses. These guys worked their asses off. I mean, Lawyer Bob was just naturally smart. So, I mean, I'm almost going to give him a mulligan. Bob's a smart guy. The guy was an attorney. I mean, he took organic chemistry at the same time as my class. I mean, Lawyer Bob, I'm going to throw out of the mix. He's just a superstar, naturally a smart guy. Alexandra, on the other hand, Lauren, Vasils, these guys had to work. You know, and that represents most of the average. They weren't, I mean, a lawyer degree, believe it or not, is a doctorate. So they didn't have no doctorate degree beforehand. You know, these were average students. You know, I can't sit here and say, oh, Vasils was this organic giant or Lauren was amazing. You know, these are average students. They worked hard. They put in the hours. They did the material. But again, I mean, I had to stop. I mean, I'm not much for redundancy and, you know, a lot of words, but I had to sort of stop. And these guys are selling themselves short. They put the work in. You know, I mean, I think that the Destroyer stuff's good. I mean, I try to keep it the best around. But you got to remember, these guys worked. There's no secret, you know, path. They put in the work. And these 4 kids I know, these are superstars. But especially the 3 they put in, I think, you know, the hardest amount of work. Bob, it just came natural. Bob's a smart guy. He's the only guy I've ever met in my entire life who knew all the vocabulary words, sometimes at the start of a class. Except the word sui generis. He did not know it when I called him. He's a sui generis. He did not know it. Bob, do you remember what it was? I called you.
Yeah, it's one of a kind. No,
right.
You know what
Bob's
it is?
amazing.
It's like I remember that word from law school because I remember it. I knew that it means some kind of its own type, but I just couldn't figure out how it's used. I couldn't remember how it's used because it's been in like a million years since I heard it used.
All right, but at any rate, I caught him on a word. I thought I'd catch him again, but Lawyer Bob's just he's a smart guy. He remembers that word. I love Lawyer Bob. I mean,
oh, thank you.
Based against Lawyer Bob, I'm a big fan. Anyway, I apologize for interjecting. But when I see these 4 students, I have to get excited. I mean, these are 4 workhorses. They're amazing. Look at Lauren. I mean, I can't believe. I mean, it was like the other day, you know, you were in my class, you know, you were hoping to get into dental school, and here you are, boom, D1.
Yeah.
It's a D3 now.
I just finished my first week. I have my lab on Tuesday.
You must be excited. And
I'm so excited. I'm getting my scrubs on Tuesday. I got this the other day.
I'm so proud of this kid.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm super excited.
Mazel tov.
But I was like almost ready to give up until Dr. Amano encouraged me when nobody else did. Like I said to Nancy before, besides my mom, was the only person who believed in me, and Dr. Amano and Nancy, and that was it. And Vasils, because he always stood by my side. We became friends through the Rutgers graduate program, and we both were struggling. We had applied multiple times. We had taken the DAT multiple times, and we just had to find the right regimen to, like Dr. Romano was saying, there is no magic bullet. Yes, his material is incredible, but it's not a loophole. You have to do the work to succeed and get that high score through his work. You can't just get the book and think like, oh, I'm gonna get a 30. You have to sit for months and you have to do the problems over and over, and you have to know inside and out why they're right, why they're wrong, everything. And you have to make sure you remember it all and retain it all. And if you don't, you're not going to succeed. So it definitely is like the best material you can use, but you have to utilize it properly.
I mean, we can talk all day about success, but it was really weird. It was once a while back, my dad actually asked me, like, what if Romano Scientific, what if it wasn't a success? You know, like, what would you be doing now? You know, and many times, I mean, that's a question that I get a lot. You know, like, what if, you know, the Destroyer wasn't a success, or before the Destroyer was Romano Scientific? And to be honest with you and giving you the best answer, I never thought of that. I I honestly never thought of it. I mean, now I look back, and I think that's a great question. I never really thought about it. When I used to start tutoring and going house to house after I graduated, and everybody says, this is crazy. You know, you're tutoring kids. I honestly never entertained the possibility, but if I did, I mean, I think it would be a good answer. I really never did. And the same thing as when I did the Destroyer book, you know, I put in all these hours, and, you know, a friend of mine, he was actually an instructor of mine, he used to work for me. He used to say to me, well, Kaplan is this, you know, gigantor of a company. You know, everybody uses Kaplan. Nobody will ever use anything you did. I agree. I mean, Kaplan was huge. I never really thought about it. What if it did fail? But it's a thought I never really entertained. And, you know, I think that should go for you guys. Never even entertain the possibility of failure. I mean, I think it's a logical question. What would I be doing now? I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting in my office, and to the right of me is a pizza place, and to the left of me is a bagel store. Maybe I would have worked there. Why not? But I never really looked back. I never really entertained those thoughts. But I think if I did stop and entertained and used a lot of energy, you know, like if it wasn't going to be successful, I'm not sure I would have made it. But I never really entertained the thought, you know, what if I don't? You know,
but your book, I think what's very interesting about your book and everything that you have created from its inception, I think it was created with an intention, and that intention was to be of help and to be of service and guidance to the students that you have surrounded yourself with and the community that you have built. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. I mean, guys like you make it all work.
I agree.
But it is true, when I met Dr. Amano many years ago, and he was already working with students, he started talking about, you know, we hadn't known each other that long, and the very beginning of the Destroyer thing, but he convinced me, he's very convincing, I can write the best work out there. I know I can write it. And because I'm a workhorse too, we both got on it. Honestly, it was interesting he said that. We've never talked about it, but that's how we both work. We never think of failing. It just doesn't cross my mind. We just keep working. Mm-hmm. We deal with what comes up, and it was successful, but I never thought otherwise when we started. We didn't know it would be as successful as it was. And I did wanted to add quickly, when Lauren, for people listening to this who that don't know, or maybe they don't have a good study partner now, join our study group, the DAT Destroyer and DAT Destroyer. We help OAT students too, and you might find a buddy in there. And if you don't, at least participate every day. We do answer people. We've got several groups. So that's a good way to get started, and we'll answer questions, and that's where the bio notes are. You can find out, you know, more about our videos. All that stuff's free. But, you know, for students, these 3 students, or these 4 students actually came to our classes, but you can see the scores there. You don't have to. I mean, they happen to be in the local area. Some students can't get to us. So join the study group. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's an excellent tool.
Yeah.
Allie, do you think we've got much more to say? I don't want to make it too long.
I think we can start to wrap up. Lauren, we just wanted to know, so there's been a lot of students who have taken the DAT and have been successful, and now they're interviewing. So we were just wondering if you had like your favorite interview tip that you could share.
So interviews are actually, like, a lot of people get really nervous before them, and I remember before my first interview I was extremely nervous, but then afterwards I realized it's nothing to be nervous about. It's almost like a flow of conversation. One of I feel was the best thing for me on one of my interviews was towards the end, they were asking me kind of laid back questions, you know, like, what kind of friend are you? Things like that, like things that would make it hard for me to incorporate my accomplishments, because in a way you're kind of selling yourself without being like bragging. You have to be humble and sell yourself in a humble way to make them feel, I want this student to represent my dental school. So it was hard to answer some of her questions that were very laid back, like what kind of music do you like, or what kind of friend are you, without also incorporating like, oh, I'm a Girl Scout Gold Award recipient, and I went on a dental mission to Peru and Guatemala, and I did this and that. And it's hard to incorporate those little braggy things when they're asking such simple questions. So you kind of have to find a way to like throw those in there while answering her question about what kind of friend you are, but also being able to brag about your accomplishments. And one of the things that I felt really killed one of my interviews was towards the end. I felt like our interview was kind of wrapping up and it was kind of short, and she asked me very basic questions. And then she asked me, do I have any questions for me? And always have more than one question for the interview committee to ask them, because there may have been something that you have already gone over in the interview with them that they might have answered already. So that question you might not be able to answer anymore. So have at least 3 or 4 in the back of your head that you can ask them. And one of the questions I asked my interviewer was, I asked her something about community service, and then I asked her something about what quality do you value most in your ideal dental student. And she kind of like, that really got her like talking, and she started saying, you know, I personally like when my students are honest, and I don't like when students lie to me and make up an excuse as to why they can't come to class. And I know they're lying, and I would rather them just be upfront with me and say, hey, I can't come because I have like a wedding. Like, don't say you're sick when I know you're going to a wedding. And then this interview that was about to end turned into like another 25-minute conversation about very similar values that me and her shared over, you know, people who lie or fabricate stories or belittle someone for not knowing something, and being able to admit when you don't know something or when you're wrong, or asking for a second opinion. Stuff like that turned into a huge half-hour conversation. So I think asking those questions at the end and formulating good ones that can spark some kind of good conversation that might help you and your interviewer click is really important, because I think that helped me like nail it in the bag, you know.
Thank you so much. Again, congratulations on your acceptance and your great DAT score. I know how hard you worked, and you totally earned everything. So
yeah, it's been a long journey. I've known Dr. Amano since I was like 21 or 22, and I'm 25 now, and I just completed my first year of dental school. So it's crazy that we've gone back this long, and he's been here for me along the way, and Nancy too. I couldn't have done it without them and without all of your help and support, including you, Alexandra, and Vasils. Bob, we just met, but like the whole study page in general is just one big family and community, and a good place to go to help each other.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, I loved hearing your story, and I'd like seeing, you know, everyone again. And we might be back on again at some point, just a little chat to see how it's going.
Can I add one?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Let's I
guess before we wrap it up, I think it's important after anything, whether it's a class or something, you learn some huge lesson. One lesson that was kind of subtle here today is that if you make a mistake, there's nothing wrong in making a mistake, whether it's a chemistry problem or, you know, something theoretical and you get hammered on it. What's important is if you learn from that mistake, understand it. For example, when I asked Bob today, again, this was impromptu, so I haven't spoke to Bob for a long time. If Bob didn't remember what a sui generis was, he would have made a fool out of himself and literally in front of thousands of kids because of saying how smart he is, and he would not have known it. That's not the big issue because he didn't know it. But the thing is, he learned it from me once, and he learned it, and if you learn it, you don't make the same mistake again. So Bob, you prove my point. If you make an error, nothing wrong in an error. I mean, errors are sometimes great, so then you can learn from those errors. You don't want to make that same error again. Lawyer Bob never disappoints me.
Thank you.
I thought I might have caught him today, and it would have been on tape for thousands of kids, and then Bob never would have forgot. But Bob proved to be too smart for me.
Got to learn from your mistakes. But I would just add on to like, Dr. Romano mentioning that like you weren't sure what would happen if Romano Scientific and the Destroyer weren't a success. You would have landed on your feet and been successful anyway, because you combined the three combinations: smart, incredible work ethic, and grit. And like the thing is, to your point, like even if you don't have as much horsepower under the hood, if you have an incredible work ethic and grit, meaning you can make a mistake, get up, dust yourself off, and keep going and not let it bog you down, you will succeed. Eventually you will get there. Okay, people far less smart than you have done this, and there's no secret. It's just a lot of hard work and willing to make mistakes, maybe even fail a couple times, and just see it through. So yeah, that I just wanted to add that. But
Great words, Lawyer Bob.
Yeah.
Smart is an understatement. Smart is almost like an insulting word towards Dr. Amano. He's like the most brilliant, intelligent man I will probably ever meet for the rest of my life. Seriously.
And he is
like,
very kind.
I can't even describe.
agreed.
Like I still use the way he studies to my studying today. I'll make up little stories, I'll make it fun and bubbly, and that's how I learn, and that's how I do well. So it's teachers like that that really are superior to the rest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Allie, are we just gonna wrap her up now, I think?
I think so. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good luck.
Thanks.